Getuienisse van gister. Ons het ons argiewe deurgegaan om aan u van die treffende getuienisse te bring wat ons in die verlede opgeneem het.
Hallo julle, my naam is Suzanne en dit is 'n ongelooflike voorreg om vanaand by julle te staan. Ek gaan so 'n bietjie Afrikaans en Engels so deurmekaar, want ek het gehoor hier's baie Engelssprekende mense hierso. So ek gaan, as ek met die Engels vashak, dan sal ek maar so 'n bietjie hier links en 'n bietjie regs hulp vra. Okay. When I was 3 years old, my mom and my dad got divorced. My mom was married for 6 times. Okay. And she divorced 6 times. Okay. During that time, at the age of 10 years old, we had a nana, a gorky. And she stayed with us. Okay. At the age of 10, I was raped. Okay. My mother didn't believe anything when I told her that I was raped. Gorky took the clothes and she took it to my mother and she showed my mother the blood that was in my clothes. Okay. At that time, I found my father and I asked him if I could go and live with him. And he said to me, "There's no place in my home for you." Okay. Now, at that age, I was very confused because I felt that I did something wrong. Why doesn't my father want me? Why didn't my mother believe me? And why did I get raped? In that same time, my mother got married again. That man drank a lot. He was an ex-policeman. He was from the apartheid era, and he was very rough with everybody. One time, he hit me and he left me to lie in the street, and the police came and they carried me home. And I know what it felt like to stand with a pistol against your head because he wanted to shoot me one evening. In that same time, everything was very difficult for me. I had no relationship with my father. It was always, whenever I cried for help, he said to me that I must go to my mother, I must speak to my mother, and she was also never there for us. I took care of my brother. He's 4 years younger than me. After my matric year, I met my husband, and he was sort of my reason to get out of the house. And we moved to Uppington, where I got pregnant. And our marriage didn't start on the right foot. We started a marriage with a child, and instead of starting a marriage with God. And in that, it was a couple of years, I think my second son was about 3 or 4 years old. We thought that it would be nice to bring some life back into our marriage, and we started with porn. We started on pornography.
The Miracle Place. Wat is The Miracle Place? Jy kan op Facebook gaan kyk en follow The Miracle Place. Miracle Place kan jy na toe kom vir die volgende redes. As jy drug addict is, as jy 'n issue het aan selfoon verslaaf is, jy's aan suiker verslaaf, whatever jy aan verslaaf is, jy kan kom inboek vir 'n maand, jy kan inboek vir 'n jaar, jy kan inboek vir 6 jaar. Maar kom na die Miracle Place toe. Ons skep vir jou hier 'n omgewing vir Jesus Christus en dan kan jy hom aanneem. En uit Miracle Place uit, die Miracle Place, vat ons die mense en ons oorreed hulle of hulle dan nie wil vir sendelinge gaan nie en 'n bietjie 'n stappie verder gaan nie. Wat die Miracle Place ook bied is partykeer net 'n fire miracle event. Dis sommer net vir 2 dae. Wat jy kan kom en as jy wil vuur van God hê, dan kom kry jy sy vuur. Natuurlik kan jy net vuur kry en dan gemaak jy hom weer dood en kom kry vuur. Jy moet dit blywend hou met die woord van God. Maar jy kan hiernatoe ook mense bring wat kanker het. Hulle kom boekie in nie, maar hulle kry daai miracle en fire events. So hou dit dop op die Miracle Place se Facebook en as iemand siek is, kom daai 2 dae en kom dat die persoon gesond raak. Julle is so welkom. Volg ons, die Here seën.
We watched pornography on the internet. We started with chat groups. We talked to people all over the world. We also had a camera, so whatever we were doing, they were seeing. And whatever they did, we saw. And because of all that terrible stuff that we were doing, our children were constantly sick. Our financials, we were in a financial bad spot. Our business was a mess. Our marriage was a mess. The children were sick. We had no relationship with God whatsoever. The pornography wasn't enough for me, and I started to look around, and I had an affair for almost 2 years. And during that time, our business hit rock bottom. And we were on the point to lose everything that we had. And I went to Jaco and I said to him, I told him about the affair that we had, or that I had. And I also told him that there's no way that we can go ahead like we do. We need to make a change. Either we both give 100% or we need to get a divorce. So my mother-in-law, she stepped in. She took the boys, and the boys lived with her for two and a half years. And me and Jaco, we went for counseling. And in the time of the counseling, there was a lot of stuff that came out that showed him, or that he understood better why I acted on certain stuff. And we got to know each other again from the start. Today it's 8 years ago that both of us gave our hearts to the Lord. And as we stand here today, we have no debt. We have a house. We have sheep and pigs. And we have 2 grown boys. And we don't have any money in the bank, but we are the richest people on this earth because so today I want to encourage you. Mom, if your girl comes to you and she has a problem, don't just shove her away. Listen to her. Dad, you are the responsible one in the house. You are the one that must take care of your girls and your boys and your wife. You are not the dictator in the house. Although you might be the head of the house, but your wife will be the neck of the house. So I want to plead with you. Take care of your children. As I don't want to blame my mother and my father for everything that happened to me. But a lot of the stuff that happened to me was because they were not present in my life and in my brother's life. So please take care of your children. Pray for your children every day. Give your children to God. And you will see, and as they might be a few months old or a year or two, you can start pray for their husbands and their wives in the future, so that they can get a godly husband and a godly wife. Thank you.
Speer International en Speer SA. Speer SA is Speer Suid-Afrika. Nou, wat ons doen, is ons stuur sendelinge uit. Na hulle klaar gestudeer het by School of Fire, kan hulle gaan na verskillende wêrelddele en plekke. Ons het ook sendelinge daar buite. U kan ook bydra by dit. So, Speer International stuur sendelinge uit. Maar wanneer ons in School of Fire studeer, en die ou bring sy kant en hy munt uit, dan raak hy 'n speer, soos ons dit noem. En dan is hy Speer SA. En dan bekwam hy vir 'n sendeling, 'n pastoor, 'n evangelis, 'n beraader, maak nie saak nie, in werk vir die Here. Maar mense daar buite het partykeer ondervindinge jare al vir Jesus. Hulle het nie 3 jaar gestudeer nie, maar hulle wil ook graag sendelinge raak, maar hulle kan nie vir 3 jaar kom nie. Dan bel jy ons het 'n onderhoud met jou, en jy kan round of kursus kom doen hier by Speer International. En dan kan ons jou ook uitstuur. Maar dit kan jy nie deur 'n e-posadres hanteer nie. Jy bel ons, daar is 2 nommers op die skerm. Dit is myne en Andre Strauss se nommer. Bel ons en ons praat met jou. God seën.
Today I just want to talk a little bit about my testimony, where I come from and what I went through. And I don't want to tell this to sound if I brag about it. I'm free, I've asked for forgiveness, and Jesus has forgiven me for this. But I want to tell you, if you struggle with something similar, be careful for the lies of the devil. Me and my wife, when we met, we never went to church. I was a policeman at that stage, and she was just finished with school. So we moved to Uppington. Not even our relationship was well. We were fighting a lot, and there were occasions where we saw somebody else in between the relationships. So everything was wrong from the beginning. So we moved to Uppington, and we think when we're at a new place, we're going to have a new start. We got married, and still things wasn't great. For the first 2 years, and if I exaggerate a little bit, excuse me for this, we only greet each other in the morning and at night. There was no communication. There was no love. We accepted the situation we were in, but we didn't work on it. And now I'm going to talk straight to you guys. When you're in a marriage, sex is something good, something special. God created it. And now I know, if you are married and you're in love with someone, with your wife or your husband, and you're having sex, it's actually a praise and worship. But when you are not married, or you didn't do it for the wrong reasons, so we didn't enjoy anything. Everything was just boring. And I, who's supposed to be the priest of my house, went to my wife and I said, do you want to have a little bit spark in our marriage? Let's buy this lekker books. Those ones that are concealed, that are wrapped in the plastics. And we looked at that. But soon it became boring. Then I told her, let's look at movies. We started with the movies, and now we can say what we want. Even if the movie incites you, and you're sleeping with your wife, you don't think of your wife. So what is it? It's fornication, Mos. And then I told my wife, but this isn't fun anymore. What do you think if we go on the website and we interact with other groups? What happened? Okay, I'm not going to go into detail with that. You go into the internet and you see other couples and they see you. You tell them what they must do and they tell you what you must do. So it's actually an orgy. Can we say that? At this stage, while we were thinking that everything is great and we have fun and there's a spark in our marriage and all that stuff, we could not talk with each other, even less than the first 2 years. When we saw each other, it was fighting, it was swearing, it was fighting, it was yelling about each other. It went so far that they took away our children for 2 years.
Prys die Here, ek wil jou uitnooi na School of Fire toe. Nou wat gebeur by School of Fire? Jy kan menigte dinge hier doen. Jy kan vir 'n pastoor kom leer vir 3 jaar lank, of jy kan vir 'n beraader kom leer. Jy kan vir 'n evangelis. Jy kan jou bekwam om vir God te werk. Jy kan ook 'n gap jaar vat. Maar nou het is ook gap seisoene. Dat jy net vir 3 maande kom en net 'n grondslag in jou lewe kry, 'n fondasie kan kom bou by School of Fire. Die nommer is nou op die skerm. Al wat jy moet doen, jy moet net jou e-posadres sound toe WhatsApp en ons stuur vir jou inligting. Jy kan ook na die inligting vir ons bel en 'n bietjie gesels en ons kan hierdie ding uitmekaar uitsit. Daar's ook 'n volunteer afdeling wat jy op die plaas by die krokodille kan kom werk. Hier's ook ander afdelings. Daar is kamerawerk, daar's klankwerk. Ag, daar is baie om op te noem. Daar's leerwerk, daar is materiaalwerk om rokke te maak. Jy kan hare doen. Jy kan naels doen. Baie verskeidenheid goed wat ook baie prakties is. Skakel ons en ons kan met jou gesels by School of Fire en ons het 'n baie mooi track record. Jy kan ons ook volg op ons page van School of Fire. Nou ja, die nommer is op die skerm. Stuur nou jou e-posadres met 'n WhatsApp en kom join School of Fire.
The relationships or the affairs became so heavily that my wife told me, I can take the children, she's going with another man. Then I asked her, do you love that man? She says, no, but it's nice to be with him. And I had exactly the same feeling. And when we realized everything went too far, there's nothing more we can do. My wife wanted to leave me because we both had so much guilt we couldn't look each other in the eye. And I asked her, can't we do the last thing that I know of or that I heard of? Because we couldn't get ourselves out. We didn't have money. We didn't have a house to live in. We didn't have food. We didn't have our children. Everything is a mess. We're so deep into all that seems reasonable is to give up at that stage. And I told her, let's try this thing. Let's try to go to a church. Maybe it works. And we went to a church and we met Jesus Christ. He picked us up. He forgave us our sins. We stopped with what we were busy with. We have our children back. We are out of debt. We have a house. I'm not going to tell you if we still have nice underwear, but our marriage is fixed. I've been married now for 20 years, and for the last 5 years, it's the best marriage I've ever been in. It's the only marriage I've been in. But I love my wife. It's fun to be with her. We can have fun. We can play. We can do all the things that married people do. And we can enjoy ourselves. My message today is, please, don't listen to the enemy. Please, don't let your dreams and your goals been stolen. God didn't create us to have a lot of women or a lot of men. I just want to read this one verse for you. It's in 1 Corinthians 7. In 1 Corinthians 7, I want you guys that are married to go and read this. And just want you to remind you about this. And while you are married, why don't you have fun in the bedroom? I just want to read this one verse, 1 Corinthians 7 verse 2. But because there is so much immorality, every man should have his own wife, and every woman should have her own husband. It's out of the word of God. It is straightforward. It is finished. Husband, you're working late with the secretary. Please stop that. Ask God for forgiveness. Go and give that attention to your wife. Wife, you that think you are not good enough, God created you to His image. You are more than enough. There's no place in a marriage for a third person. The only third person in your marriage that is allowed there is God. So, what I said in the beginning was, when you love your wife, when you love your husband, and you live the life holy in the marriage, remember, you are busy praising and worshiping God. Treat each other with respect. Yeah, I know Corinthians 1 verse 7. 1 Corinthians 7 says that the body of the man belongs to the woman, the body of the woman belongs to the man. It does not mean that you have to be disrespectful. There's so much promises and nice things God created in the marriage. God gave us for the married person. And listen, when I'm talking about marriage, I'm talking about a husband and a wife, or a man and a woman. Not a man and a man and a woman and a woman. The marriage that God gave us. Adam and Eve. He created us so that we can love each other, that we can enjoy each other, and that we could be respectful to each other.